ever feel like the English language is kind of like a wild jungle out there? I mean, all the rules and the exceptions.
Absolutely.
Today, we're diving deep into a time when English was even wilder, the Middle Ages.
Right?
We've got some awesome excerpts that
Yep.
basically give us a backstage pass to how English evolved back then.
It's really a fascinating journey.
Buckle up, because we're about to uncover how English went from this, like, chaotic mix of Anglo-Saxon and Norman influences
Mm-hmm.
to the language we know and sometimes love today. It's a time when spelling was, well, more like a suggestion box.
Yeah.
And grammar was, let's just say, a lot more relaxed.
So to kick things off, it's important to remember English didn't just magically appear one day.
Right.
It actually came from this cultural collision between, two powerful groups.
Okay.
The Anglo-Saxons, who were basically Vikings who traded their long ships for plows, settled down.
So Vikings who decided to go into agriculture.
Exactly. And then the Normans, these French-speaking conquerors who, had a thing for castles.
Fancy castles, fancy words.
And even fancier words.
I see.
Exactly.
So imagine these two groups trying to order a pint at the pub. I mean, talk about a communication breakdown.
Right. Like, hey, can I get a... What is that?
I don't even understand you.
Exactly, yeah.
So how did this linguistic mashup even start to resemble the English we speak?
Well, it's remarkable, isn't it, how language adapts? I mean, it's constantly reshaping itself to mirror, the world around it.
So like survival of the fittest for words.
In a way, yeah. Over time, their languages, they didn't stay separate. They began to blend together.
Creating this verbal melting pot.
Yeah. A linguistic smoothie, you could say. And that's where English, as we know it, started to emerge.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's fast forward a bit, and we got to talk about Beowulf.
Right.
This epic poem that's way more than just, a dusty old book. It's surprisingly like an early prototype for the superhero stories we're obsessed with today.
I love that, yeah. Beowulf might sound intimidating to some, but when you really break it down, strip away the Old English.
The chainmail.
Yeah, you've got all the elements of a blockbuster movie. I mean, you've got your hero, Beowulf.
Okay.
Who's this, ultimate monster slayer, battling these terrifying creatures like Grendel.
Grendel, right.
And Grendel's mother. Think of them as, the supervillains of the Middle Ages.
Okay, so Beowulf going into Grendel's lair to fight the monster, that sounds a lot like Batman venturing into, the Joker's hideout.
I love that comparison. They both face their fears, right, in these dark, dangerous places.
And they always come out on top. Suddenly.
Come now, yeah. And what's even more interesting, just in those modern superhero stories, the hero's not just fighting for himself, right?
Yeah, it's always for the greater good.
He's fighting for everyone else, for the safety of his people. That idea of self-sacrifice for the greater good.
It's a classic.
Right. I mean, that's a theme that resonates through history, from Beowulf to, Spider-Man.
That's awesome. So Beowulf, it's not just about, monsters and mead halls.
Right.
It's it's setting the stage for all these epic stories that we still tell today.
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing to think that some of our favorite superhero tropes have roots way back in Middle English literature.
It's incredible how much we can trace back,
Yeah, I mean, it really makes you wonder, what will people in the future think of the stories we tell today?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what will be the Beowulf of, the 21st century?
Okay, but while Beowulf gives us these incredible stories, reading it can feel kind of like deciphering, a secret code.
Oh, for sure.
Can you imagine trying to communicate when spelling was practically like a free-for-all?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lack of standardized spelling in Middle English, it can seem chaotic to us now. I mean, just try to imagine, texting someone when night could be spelled, see night, night, all in the same message.
Knight. What is that?
Right. Autocorrect would have a field day with that.
It would just give up.
Totally.
So how did people even understand each other back then? I mean, wouldn't that just make communication super difficult?
Well, it certainly made things more complex.
Yeah.
But we have to remember, language is all about context. And back then, people were used to this fluidity in language. I mean, it was a time of experimentation. And the rules that we take for granted now were still evolving.
Okay, so it's not that people were just bad at spelling. It's just the concept of, correct spelling hadn't really solidified yet.
Exactly. They were like the pioneers,
Right.
figuring it all out as they went along.
It makes you really appreciate, like, how much language has evolved over time.
Absolutely. I mean, and that evolution, it never really stops. I mean, think of how many new words and slang
Oh, wow.
have entered our vocabulary just in the last few years. With every text we send, every post we make online, we're all contributing to that ongoing story of English.
Wow, so we're all like little language pioneers in a way. That's a great way to put it.
That's really cool. So next time you throw some slang in a text or abbreviate something, just remember you're actually shaping the future of English.
It's mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah. Who knows what language will look and sound like in another, 1,000 years.
It's exciting to think about, and that's really the beauty of language, right?
Yeah.
It's this living, breathing thing
Mm-hmm.
that reflects who we are, how we connect with the world.
Absolutely. So there you have it, folks. A whirlwind tour through the messy, fascinating world of Middle Ages English.
It was a wild time.
It was a wild time, yeah. It might have been, a bit rough around the edges, but hey, every superhero has an origin story, right?
That's very true.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time. See you then.